Hello, my name is Stephanie Straw, and in this session, we will be focusing on execution of deeds. The slides and speaker notes from the session have been uploaded as a handout. You can access the handout from our HM Land Registry go-to stage by clicking on the icon highlighted with the red box on screen. YouTube watchers can click the link in the description below the video. The handout will contain the various practice guides and other pages referenced within this session. For a deed to be legal, it must be properly executed. We see various errors in relation to execution. For example, a party's signature has not been witnessed, the witness details are missing or illegible, or the wrong form of execution has been used for the person or company involved. Execution requirements vary depending on the parties involved in a transaction. So let's look first at execution by an individual. A document executed by an individual must always be witnessed by a third party and be delivered as a deed. Delivery is the final requirement for the valid execution of a deed, by which the parties signify that they intend the deed to become binding and effective. In the past, this meant physical delivery of the document to another party. Now, it is more likely to be the action of dating the deed on completion. The deed can be considered as delivered even though the parties retain physical possession of their own copies, provided it is clear that they intend the deed to be binding. It's also important to note that certain deeds affecting registered land need to be in a prescribed form and use prescribed execution clauses. A deed, such as a transfer, for example, must use the attestation clause currently shown on screen by the black line, or its Welsh equivalent, when individuals execute the deed, as well as include the individual's name in full. Please see the handout for a definition of attestation clause. There is comprehensive guidance on prescribed forms of execution in Practice Guide 8, Section 1.3. In attesting a signature, the witness is affirming that the signature of the party to the deed is genuine. Therefore, one party to a deed cannot witness the signature of another party to the deed. We must be able to contact a witness in case there are any concerns about the execution. So if the witness details aren't clear, we will have to send a requisition. A witness could attest the signature of more than one individual, but multiple signatures must be witnessed separately, unless it's absolutely clear from the wording of the attestation that the witness is witnessing both or all of the signatures in the presence of the named signatories. Let's now take a look at some examples. In this example, the signature of David Smith and Megan Smith have not been separately witnessed. We had to requisition for the deed to be amended to show separate attestation of each signature, as shown on screen now. If the attestation clause had been amended before execution, making it clear that the witness was witnessing both of the signatures, we could have accepted it. Some acceptable alternative wording is shown circled in blue. If you receive a requisition to amend the wording of the attestation, the signatures should be witnessed again. More information on witnessing multiple signatures can be found in Practice Guide 8. In this example, the full address of the witness was not given. As we could not contact the witness if we needed to, we had to send a requisition for the full address to be added, including the town and postcode. A company may wish to execute a document under seal. The seal must either be attested by two members of the board of directors, council, or other governing body of the corporation, or by one such member and the clerk, secretary, or other permanent officer of the corporation, or their deputy. If a deed is executed by a company, affixing its seal in the presence of people who are not either a director and the secretary or two directors, we may call for evidence that the people attesting the affixing of the seal or authorised by the company's articles to do so. A provision for this has to be written into the company's constitution or made by a resolution of the board. As mentioned earlier, for a company, the execution clause must be as shown on screen if a prescribed form is used. This is underlined now on screen. Also remember to insert the company name in the execution clause. Where the deed in question is in a prescribed form and is being signed by a company, the attestation clause on screen must be used and must state that the deed is executed, not signed. Appropriate forms of execution for prescribed forms are set out in Schedule 9 as shown on screen now. The status of the signatory must be clear or we will have to send a requisition. In this example, the signatories have been described as member rather than director or secretary. We cannot accept member as we do not know in what capacity they're signing. We cannot accept member as we do not know in what capacity they're signing. They may simply be shareholders of the company and not directors. Therefore, it's really important that the signatory's position in the company is made clear. There are few exceptions where an authorised signatory or member can be accepted. For example, in the case of a registered society or limited liability partnerships. Please see Practice Guide 8 for further details. If a company executes a deed without a seal, then the deed must be signed by either a director and secretary, or by two directors of the company, or a director of the company in the presence of a witness who attests the signature. The deed should also be expressed or stated to be executed by the company, as in the example shown on screen. Again, it's not acceptable to put authorised signatories without any indication of their status. We need the execution to state whether they are a director or a secretary. In this final example, the document has been executed by a director, but no witness has attested it. We requisition for the document to be re-executed and witnessed. For more information on execution of deeds, see our Execution of Deeds webinar on our HM Land Registry Go-To stage, and there's a link to this in the handout. It's now time for a quick knowledge check on execution of deeds. On screen, you can see 7 execution clauses. Which of the following would be acceptable for registration? Please pause the video to give yourself time to consider the question and write down an answer. When you're ready, press play and we'll view the answer. Okay, time to run through the answers. A, F and G would be acceptable for registration. The others would not be acceptable for the following reasons. In B, the witness has not attested to the signature of Jones Smith. In C, the execution clause has not been witnessed at all. In D, the execution clause says signed as a deed, whereas it should be executed as a deed, as it's by a company. In E, two parties to the deed have signed the same execution clause, and there's a single witness attestation. That's the end of the session today. We've covered a lot of detail in this presentation, so make sure you download the handout, which includes the slides and speaker notes that will help you submit quality applications. Thanks for watching and hope to see you again soon.